This is a continuation of my issues with the Gen Z. I think I should call them Generation Zero. Z. Eh? In Kiswahili Z. Hayo mambo yako ni Z. It means zero. I've interacted with them. They know it too well. One even told me in the remark section that it is because of people like you that Moi stayed in power for 24 years. I do not know the person, but why should I talk about Moi being the president? Moi became the president when I was in Form 3, an adult. And he was born when Moi was about to leave office. If somebody was born in 1994 and Moi left when he was in 5 or 6 years, he is not fit to talk to me about Moism. First of all, I said what was in my mind, and that is why my work was terminated. I was there, I saw things wrong, I said it, and it cost me my job. But that being that, even we have to thank Moi himself. Because if you look around all African countries, during that time they went through much tougher time. Coups, tribal clashes, whatever. We had our tribal clashes, but you cannot compare our tribal clashes with Tutsis and Hutus. We cannot compare our tribal clashes with what was happening in the DRC. So that is that. It was our time, we did our whatever. And even when I was being dismissed from the work because of telling the truth, there is one thing that the Jinsis don't have. And that is something that my boss, who is called, he is still alive, who is called Christopher Maluki Lati. Mr. Lati believed in one thing. You had to tell him something, a problem, and at the back of your mind, you had to have a suggestion. You just don't go there with a problem and without a suggestion. You have to, okay, we are not happy with this. So what happens to you, Jinsis, is remove. In fact, remove everybody who is over 60 years. Where does it speak that upon your 60th birthday, you don't serve the public? Where? And why 60? Why not 55? Why not 40? Why not 65? The only thing I know is that in civil service, and you see this is a problem with the Gen Z, kierere, they don't even, there is a difference between a public officer, there is a difference between a civil servant, there is a difference between this and that. Now, a civil servant is supposed to serve the country up to his or her 60th birthday. And upon reaching 60th birthday, you can only be retained in very exceptional cases. For example, if you are a person living with a disability, then you stay up to reaching 65. If you have exceptional qualities, this is Masinga Dam, you are in the process of teaching other people, and in all fairness, you feel that, okay, you can even retire at 60, and every time you are being recalled to come and assist these people. You can be retained until such a time that you have trained others to take over there. So, unless you have exceptional qualities, like a person living with a disability, or such a knowledge that only you have, or it will take you time to pass over the information to other people. It will take you time to pass the information to other people. Then it means that you have to stay past 60. Now you don't want to tell me that a minister cannot be taken to be. You say everybody is over 60. Everybody. Where is it written? I mean, you just wake up in the morning and place there. First of all, you have not told us if it is 70 or even 30 or anything. You have to tell us an age. Okay, if tomorrow the law says that upon reaching 60 you cannot be a minister, upon reaching 60 you cannot be an MCA, whatever, you know what happens for something to be a law? You just don't go, mnafanya maandamano, alafu mnasema at from today anybody over 60, tutaki selection of anybody over 60. First of all, in any debate they'll ask, why did you choose 60? Why not more? Why not less? And then when we agree on a figure, we can even agree on 45. Then we don't just agree on the road. Tunasema, sasa kuanzia leo 45. No, we have to put it on statute. And there's a system of putting it in statute. The other thing wrong about Gen Z is this thing that Ruto resign. Okay, Ruto goes. Gachagua resign, Gachagua goes. Wetangula resign, Wetangula goes. Then you reach the Chief Justice. Chief Justice Martha Koome achukue. Some of these things, the UN is usually called, because if you can't cover it at home, then the UN can come with an observer mission. They conduct a referendum, and then the UN, after conducting a referendum, if people say that, then that is what happens. It does not mean howling on the road. Alafu mnaanza kusema sasa anybody over 60. It is there in black and white. If you are working for the civil service, you whatever. I remember Senior Counsel Omolo Otiende saying, you cannot use unconstitutional means to change a constitution. If you want to change a constitution, you have to choose constitutional ways. If you want to change things there and there, you have to use a constitutional way. And if you're planning, if you want Ruto out, if you want Gachagua out, okay, I don't know what is in your mind. So far what I know what is in your mind is, watoke wote. Then wakitoka wote. Are you forgetting hii vitu inatendeka tu hapa nini? Khartoum. You understand? Yeah, are you happy for there to be Khartoum? We were saying that Kibaki alifanya vizuri kupeana masomo ya bure. Kumbe watu wakisoma bure wanakuwa bure. Then there is this thing about Gen Z they are talking. Lastly, because hawa watu ni generation Z, generation zero. They are talking about confidential budget. Na nimewaambia kwa ile nini ingine, confidential budget ni NIS. Now that is, I joined NIS in September 1984. That is 40 years ago, exactly 40 years ago. Let me tell you. We are what we are because of NIS. Wakilala tu siku moja, just one day, hata hiyo maandamano mtaenda. And that is why the government spends a lot of money on confidential vote. I can tell you, my relationship with NIS is not good, but the NIS, hiyo ndio kitu tunasemaga, NIS is like that police officer. Huyu jamaa yenyu Sasa mashetani ila alikuwa anazika mabendera nini, imeanza kumshika. Is now posing in the mortuary and posing that is being buried. He one time poured liquid on a police officer in uniform. You may not agree with the police officer. You may not agree with him as an individual, but respect his office. I can tell you, nikipewa ruhusa, I can sack all the NIS and recruit a new. But since they are doing a very important part of our job in the country, I have to respect them. Now, mimi naongea, I know, and you know, hii ujinga hii, you know, tunaongea hapa mimi na wewe Mkenya na mimi wewe ni, and you see this social media inaangaliwa na Al-Shabaab, inaangaliwa na Al-Qaeda, and you want the government to tell you how pesa za kwenda kumonitor Al-Shabaab, pesa za kwenda kumonitor Al-Qaeda, you want to tell us at NIS iambie nyinyi ati unaona hapo Liboi tuko na 3 spies, mmoja anaitwa Abdi, mwingine anaitwa Bare na mwingine anaitwa Shurie. Is that the openness you want? Now, lastly, you are telling me that you have no problem with NIS getting confidential finance. What you are having a problem is the office of the president joining. What you have a problem is the office of the president being given confidential finance. So that is what you have. That is the problem that you have, that you don't want the office of the president to be given confidential finance. I wish I was in my house, because I would show you the letter which I was being promoted to the rank of inspector of police. In a normal circumstance, a person who is being promoted to the rank of police inspector, it is a letter that is addressed to police headquarters and so on and so forth. But NIS, it was special branch then. I was being promoted to the rank of inspector while I was attached to the office of the president. I remember the earliest document I've ever come across is that like I have a gazette, Kenya Gazette of 1969. I have it in my house. And in that Kenya Gazette, a number of superintendents of police are being promoted. And those who were in special branch, it was written that William Kivuvani, Superintendent even William Kivuvani of the office of the president. When the government, since 1968, I don't know what happened earlier than that, but in 1968 and onwards, when we had directive number 1 of the special branch, the special branch letterhead showed that they were in the office of the president. They were in the office of the president. So, hiyo masomo yenyu ya bure imefanya mpaka kichwa yenyu imekuwa bure. But let me tell you one thing. When the Minister for Finance reads the budget, he gives every ministry money. Where do you think the money for NIS goes? Which ministry? It is not the internal ministry. Okay, it is the internal ministry, yes, but it is the office of the president that since 1968, I don't know whether it was, how earlier it was, but the earliest record that I have is that NIS, by then it was called special branch. When it was delinked from the CID and became a formation of its own, its budget is done from the office of the president. I remember when I went to Kiganjo for my inspector's course, every end of the month, you see, all inspectors of police who we trained with were, by then, meals were 120 shillings per day. We were 2. We were two from the then Directorate of Security Intelligence. We were two of us. But every month, Kiganjo used to bill the office of the president for feeding and accommodation of two cadet officers. The other one was a Meru by tribe. I can't remember his name. They used to send a demand letter for what 120 times 2, that is 240. Kwa hayo mengi, I want to tell you that when the local school that you go to, the local hospital you go to, you get drugs from the local hospital. When the Minister for Finance is reading the budget, those drugs you get are accounted for in the Ministry of Health. When you go to school, the nearest primary school you go to, the chalks that are used on the blackboard are drawn from the Ministry of Education. And the salary, the finances of everything that goes for the NIS goes to of Harambee House budget. Goes to Harambee House budget. That is what happens. That is what happened, and that is how it is. Lastly, people are saying that I was even talking of how other I was agency. Now I give you the example of how, because I cannot give you the Kenyan example because of the risk of it, and in fact I have to tell you the truth. The NIS cannot give me all the facts they would have given me if I was still working for them. But I was giving you an example of Hamas and Hezbollah in this. No, those are modern those are modern countries. As you don't compare them to Kenya. That is the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Because if you have a Datsun 1200 pickup and I have a lorry, Migunane, we all have pickups. We all go to mechanics. We all go to petrol station. You go to a petrol station unanunua mafuta 1,000, mimi naenda nanunua mafuta ya 10,000 because I have a lorry and you have a pickup. So Kenya is a pickup. Tuko na small thread. We have a small budget. We have whatever. And Israel has a big budget, has a big problem. That is like a lorry. So you're telling me to shut up because Israel is a modernized country. Any country, be it the first country, be it the second country, be even fourth country, they have budgets for intelligence. And in Kenya, the budget goes to office of the president. What Ruto did, the first thing that he stepped in the office, was to make the Inspector General be independent of his finances and whatever. Now, if you want the Director General of Intelligence to be so, it is easy. Remember what Tom Ojenda said. You don't use, not Ojenda, there is the other lawyer, senior, is also a senior lawyer like Tom Ojenda. He said you do not use unconstitutional manner to change the constitution. You also said that you are worried that the confidential budget in Kenya is going into people's pockets. I can tell you that if there is a lawyer saying that if you study a hen from morning, what it has been eating till evening, you'll not eat the hen. What I'm trying to tell you is that some of these things we do it in faith. We do it in faith. Look at recently I boarded an Eldoret Express, and the driver was a Kikuyu and he was talking to another Kikuyu, the conductor in Kikuyu. And I learned that from Eldoret to where I highlighted at Luandeti, the driver was so tired and he was almost sleeping on the way. So that is how Kenya is, and that is how any country is. We leave the drivers, the government to drive it. We don't know whether the driver is tired or anything. And if I have to remind you, in Kenya, If we want to go and do the auditing to see if the NIS money is being squandered or whatever, we will use 20 million shillings to discover that 2 million shillings have been stolen. Sometimes it is good to act as if nothing is happening, but you know something has happened. If you start questioning yourself, whatever, you'll you'll run mad, like Boniface Mwangi, who is now shooting his videos of his funeral. Thank you.